Hey guys, it's Will from Tested. I'm here with Kyle Wiens once again from iFixit.
Yeah.
It's good to have you back, sir. Today we're taking apart something new.
Yes, we have the new Retina iPad mini.
Okay. Components are strewn everywhere. Now, you guys have been a little hard on Apple stuff over the years for repairability. The iPad 3, starting with the iPad 3.
iPad 2. Yeah.
They started gluing screens shut.
They did. They started gluing the whole case together. So historically, we've been giving Apple's products a lot of really good repair scores. All of their MacBook Pros for years and years were phenomenally straightforward to repair, really nicely designed. Unfortunately, Apple has acquired a case of what we call design anorexia.
Okay.
They are making the products as thin as possible at all costs. And it's a bit of a problem for getting in and fixing a cracked screen or replacing the battery.
Okay, so we have a couple of things here. First, you have an iPad 2. So this is where it all started.
Yeah, so this is...
The original iPad was held shut with screws. There was a little bit of glue, I guess.
There were clips around the edge of the original iPad,
right.
and so you pop the clips, and then you could get in.
Broke almost all of them, usually.
You broke the clips,
screen
but
off.
it was okay because the clips were cheap, and you just replaced them during the repair. So
with
this, what they have done is they have adhesive around the edge, and so the process of getting from this to this is about an hour of very careful heating and prying.
Yeah, I've done it. You get a heat gun, you have some guitar picks, which, by the way, that is an amazing tip. And then you heat up the outside, you jam the guitar picks under to hold it in place, and then you heat up another side. And usually you distort the screen along the way.
So you work your way through. Yeah, and the challenge using a heat gun, and this is not like a hairdryer, this is a 1,500 watt industrial strength heat gun.
Yeah.
If you use it on your hair, it will set your hair on fire.
It is incredibly hot. You have to wear gloves when you're holding the thing after you heat gun it.
So the challenge of that is that you're going along, you're heating this up. Well, the home button is plastic, so you're going to melt the home button. The LCD is very heat sensitive, and so if you get too much heat on the LCD and not on the bezel, then you're in trouble. And it's a pretty high temperature you have to get the adhesive to loosen it.
And by in trouble, you mean the digitizer starts working, the LCD breaks, and also...
We've gotten like weird heat spots on the LCD that are permanent damage, so bad news. So we spent a lot of time saying, what's a better way to get into the iPad?
Okay.
And we stumbled across this idea after dozens and dozens of failed ideas. This one actually worked. So this is a sack of basically rice that you heat up in the microwave, and then you put there. And that way you're able to apply heat just to the area with the adhesive.
In a kind of controlled way?
In a controlled way without getting heat elsewhere. So you can put it here and not heat the home button.
So then you heat it up, you
heat it up,
jam
and
your
then
picks under.
Get your picks, and you work your way around, loosening, separating the adhesive. And you can, if you look at the adhesive here, you can see there's basically this foam adhesive. So you gotta scrape that loose, separate it all the way around without cutting this ribbon cable or cutting the wireless cables.
Do you tell people to use the same adhesive, or do you sell like adhesive gaskets they can put on when they replace the
Our part comes with replacement adhesive strips that you put on there, and they're pre-cut.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's worth saving the money off a new iPad, and it's worth it to keep these things going. It's just unfortunate that they chose this design.
Yeah. So okay, so the mini Retina, it's second generation mini. It's out now. How repairable is it compared to the iPad 2?
Great question. Not as good.
Oh, even worse.
Even worse. The thing with this iPad is once I get the display out, you know, getting the main board off is relatively, I mean, there's screws and you can get that off. What they did here is, this is the main board for the Retina. Okay. And you can actually see on here, there was adhesive where all of those circles are.
So
they have this thing screwed down and then also glued down.
Why would you screw and glue?
You're going to have to ask Johnny that.
I don't think they're going to tell me. It's shocking, I know.
Apple PR doesn't.
Yeah, they don't answer questions about the internal design of their products. Okay, so they screw it and glue it down. So if
getting this board off was a significant challenge.
And did you have to heat it, do the same thing, heat it and then remove and then heat and remove and heat and pry?
Yeah, and so we're heating the backside and conducting right? So you sort of got to know where the glue is. And then you'll see all the adhesive here. That's from the battery that we removed. And you can see how much adhesive. So prying this battery up is very, very challenging.
And it's a little scary too. I mean, there's a lot of energy stored in that battery. Yes. If you punch through it, bad things are going to happen.
Right. So let's take repairability out of the equation. Let's just say, you're an electronics company, you have a page like Apple Environment that's talking about how green you are, you have Al Gore on your board and you want to be an environmentally friendly company. you would think that you would make a product that's easy to recycle. This is not something that recyclers can deal with, because recyclers, they take electronics, they run them through shredders. If you run a battery like this through a shredder, it tends to blow up. If you have in the same shredder, you have aluminum, you get aluminum dust in the air, and then you have this as an ignition source. I have friends that work at electronics recyclers that have missed batteries or didn't get all the batteries out, and it blows up the shredder.
It's an expensive mistake.
Very expensive, potential cost to human life.
Yeah.
So we're very concerned about these products, and to date, no one has figured out a way to recycle iPads at scale.
So even beyond the, hey, my battery is going to last a finite number of charge cycles, which is what, anywhere from like 300 to 1500, depending on the battery and the charger and all that
They
stuff?
say it's 1,000 on these.
Okay. Then even once you throw this in the trash, you take it to electronics recycling, they're going to look at this and say, no, don't put this in the landfill pile. We don't want to fool with it.
Which is a problem, because this isn't a very good thing to landfill, because there's all sorts of toxic chemicals in here that can leach into the water table.
Well, and stuff that's hard to get, and
Right.
we might reuse for something else down the line.
Right.
Okay, so let's look at the components here. What do we actually? We have battery we've touched on. It's a pretty big battery for
Pretty big
for
battery.
a tablet, for a
and
little
this
tablet.
is, I mean, we've learned this by now. Tablets are cell phones with big batteries and big screens.
Yeah.
All right, so this circuit board.
Hold on. So you just said that the iPad is just a big iPhone?
The iPad is just a big iPhone.
Okay.
And the iPad Air is just, right, I have an iPad Air here.
It's just a really
This is
big.
just a big iPad mini.
So we've come full circle, basically.
I'm leaking the repair score. Oh no, that's all right. Well,
Surprise, the spoilers.
The repair score of the iPad Mini Retina is 2 out of 10.
It's not very good.
Not very good.
Is it-
Possible to repair,
Okay.
but difficult.
And is there stuff? So it seems like the stuff that you recommend repairing on this is screen, glass, maybe broken headphone jack, something like that.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to skip too far ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, almost all the repairs on these things are screen, LCD, and battery.
Okay.
That's, the headphone jack and the volume buttons are some things that could potentially be repairs. But I have to, one thing I really like about this design. So this is the headphone jack.
Okay.
And you can see it's actually a kind of big piece of plastic.
Yeah, it's got a bevel to go up.
Yeah,
oh,
and
wow.
so what they did was they milled into the frame.
Here, I can hold that for you.
So they milled in.
Oh, it just slots right in.
So that slots in, and it's really solid. So because they've got the aluminum supporting it, and then the headphone jack, and then the 2 screws, this is a really robust headphone jack.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's
So-
much better than the old ones, which just kind of floated in there.
Right.
And if you knocked them loose, you had big problems.
Right. So if you're more likely, the issue is you reef on that, or you trip over your headphone cable. Your plug is going to break off inside of this.
Yeah.
You're going to have to extract it rather than actually breaking the headphone jack.
That's good. That's definitely a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and overall, Apple really focuses on durability, and I would say that the glue is almost Apple trying to focus on durability rather than. So they really want to make sure that it works fantastically for 12 months. After that, your battery starts to fail, maybe your kid drops it, then you're kind of out of luck.
You're once you get outside the extended warranty period, they care much less.
Yes.
Okay, so motherboard. Obviously, we have CPU here. It's the one with the A7 written on it.
A7. Which is still fabbed by Samsung.
Okay.
Every new Apple gizmo comes out, we look really hard to say it's the processor made by somebody other than Samsung. And we do a lot of research, and it's Samsung.
The numbers always tell you Samsung. Okay.
Yes.
What else do we have here?
Here, flip this upside down so you can read it. This is Toshiba NAND flash on this one, but that's a multi-source component, so it could be Toshiba in this and Samsung in another one.
Is there we know on some stuff the component matters, like screens for laptops and stuff like that. Does it matter for flash or no?
There's probably slight performance differences, but they're so minuscule, and write performance, read performance on these tablets isn't really something that's worth worrying about.
Okay.
As Steve Jobs likes to say, this is not a truck.
What's this little shiny guy right here? Do we know?
That is, you're going to ask
I can't read the letters on it.
Yeah, well, it's an Apple branded chip. I would have to look at our teardown and find out, because Apple will go to component manufacturers and say, hey, we're not going to let you tell people what, we didn't label it. Oh, okay. That is a power management IC.
Oh,
so it's the same part that's in the iPad Air.
Okay. So it's something that helps it maintain standby and battery life and stuff like that?
Yeah, and it's made by Dialog, and for whatever reason, Apple, I don't know if they're making modifications to it or if they're just telling the manufacturer, we're not going to let you put your name on it.
So when you guys do teardowns of stuff, like, do you just have a team of people sitting around a table where somebody in a lab coat is taking stuff apart, looking up numbers of chips on the internet as fast as you can?
We do have iFixit lab coats.
Okay.
But we don't wear no. So in this case, we have to go wherever the product is sold first in the world. So for this, we went to New Zealand.
Okay.
And so we have one person who goes to New Zealand, buys the product, takes it apart, takes photos, and then our team of engineers is sitting in California around the screen waiting for the pictures to come over the wire, and then we actually do a lot of the teardown analysis from the photos.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you guys are doing the same thing we do when we look at your
exactly
photos.
The same thing.
Just a little bit faster, maybe.
Right. Well, the teardowns are a wiki, so anybody can hit edit and suggest changes live. So a lot of the knowledge that we get from teardowns comes from the community, helping us write them as we go.
Cool. It seems like they're using that kind of nesting plug system in a bunch of different places now.
Yes. So this is my other beef with this design. This is the lightning connector. Mm-hmm. And this is the main board, and you can see that there's no way to separate them.
It's a common point of failure, and they're not letting you replace that lightning connector.
Correct. So if you trip over this, your entire iPad, I mean, you're not going to be able to get this part. So if you break the lightning connector, you busted the whole thing.
And in the older designs, you used to be able to, this was a modular on both ends, so you tab it in, right?
And that's the natural way to do it. And I don't see a good reason from a device thickness perspective that they had to do that. So I think it just shows that Apple really is not emphasizing repairability on their product.
They care more about making it as cheaply as possible and as quickly as possible, and
And that's an advantage when you glue things together like this. I mean, it's pretty easy to have a robot glue a battery into an iPad. Well, so it is helping them with some of their labor problems in China.
Something to be said, I guess, for that. What else do we have? There's a couple other parts down here we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah, so these are the resonance chambers for the speakers.
So the speakers are, do I see the speakers? Are they on the main board?
I'm not,
or are they in there somewhere, maybe?
The speaker may be integrated in here. I need to
are those little? Are these little ribbon connectors?
It could be connecting off of the screws.
Interesting.
But so I mean, you can see the slot here for audio. Mm-hmm. So the bigger resonance chamber you have, the better bass response. And I don't know if I want to say iPad and bass in the same sentence.
They don't sound great.
Mid-range audio.
Middling to fair is the phrase I think most people use.
Yeah. And then we've got a camera. You can see.
Okay, so that's
not a particularly big camera.
Is that the back camera or the front camera?
That's the front camera. This is the back camera.
The back camera's a little bit bigger.
A little bit bigger. And with cameras, size, the bigger the camera is, the better it is. And in this case, it's not all that big.
So the iPad Mini and the iPad Air with Retina have more or less the same camera as iPhone 5, probably? Is that what the consensus is? I know Apple doesn't ever say, but...
I think this is a worse camera than the 5. Am I wrong?
Maybe it's the 4S.
Yeah, I would say more in line with what's on the 4S, but I would want to double check.
But it's going to be, even though it's maybe the same sensor and same lens system, it's going to be a completely different connector because the shape of all the wires and stuff is different, right?
Yeah, and everyone says, oh, it's the same thing. Can I interchange or can I swap out or put a camera from the iPhone 5?
I have a 4S and my 5 camera's broke, yeah.
And the answer is that with this, and this is the case with any manufacturer with these small devices, everything is custom designed. You go to Flextronics and you say, I want this cable that fits with this CAD model.
Some weird zigzag.
And every new product has a completely different set of parts.
Yeah.
So they're setting up a new supply chain for every single product, every single part, and then when it comes to the repair perspective, you have to have a different camera for the Retina iPad Mini as compared to just the previous iPad Mini.
Okay, a couple more things. This guy looks like...
That's the antenna.
Antenna, okay.
One of the antennas.
Yeah, there's another one up there somewhere. We didn't bring it in.
This is another antenna. Yeah. And the antennas, I mean, tremendous amount of engineering work that goes into designing the antennas. It's complete voodoo to me. So there's the level of electrical engineering classes that you go through in school. I hit a wall long before I got to antenna design.
There's a lot of physics in there.
There's a lot of physics. It's very complicated. It's very hard. Apple has extremely good antenna engineers.
Finally, it took them a while.
Few people got canned over that.
Probably. Yes. A couple more things. Here's a screen.
There's a display, and you note how incredibly thin this is.
It is very thin.
If you compare that display to this one.
So this is the iPad 2.
This is the iPad, yeah. You can see the screens have gotten thinner over time.
Yeah. That's crazy. We're on a little bit of a thick side here, it looks like, but still.
Incredibly
and is this a display controller just glued on the back here?
And you see that here. So
they just hit it
this
behind
is the inverter for the LEDs.
Okay.
So the LEDs run at a higher voltage.
So they have to step up from what the battery provides.
Right.
Okay.
And often, I mean, in historical display design, you would have the backlight fail usually before the LCD, and so you would replace the inverter board separate from the display. But now they're integrating it, and you replace everything at once.
But at least they're not gluing the digitizer on the front of the LCD anymore. So if one breaks, you have to replace all three things. I guess they kind of are.
I mean, so yeah, in this case, the digitizer. So you'll note this is the glass. This has the cable coming off it, and the synaptic probably. So this. This is what has the capacitive sensors that detect your finger. This is separate, so you replace this separate from the display.
Okay.
Which is good on this. Some other tablets, they've got them integrated, glued together, like on the Nexus 5 that we saw.
So that's why it's a 2 instead of a 1, I guess.
that would be a 1 point of positive. By the way, if any manufacturer is watching, an easy way to get an extra point on the repair score, one of the points is an open repair manual for the product. So if you publish a repair manual for any of your products, you get an instant bump up.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Kyle. People want to find out more. Where can they go?
iFixit.com. We've got the Teardown online now, and we're working on the repair manual for this soon, so we will have full repair manual up very soon for all your iPad Retina Mini repair needs.
And you guys have repair guides and tools for thousands of products?
For, I mean, just about everything.
Okay.
Not everything yet, but it's a wiki people are adding all the time. But we have repair manuals on everything from tractors to iPods. And if you want to get a handy-dandy tool like this to open your iPad without melting it, we can hook you up.
It seems much better than the way I've done in the past. Well, we'll be back with more from Tested soon. Until then, I'm Will. See you guys later.
Thanks.